welcome back. In this episode, we're going to begin to identify the problems we have with the bottom of this boat and the sides of the boat. We know we have to redo the bottom paint. Now we just have to find out just how many cracks and chips and other damage we have to the fiberglass that we have to deal with before we can do the bottom paint and the barrier coat. So I'm going to start on the transom. I'm alone today. My friend Dave is taking this Sunday off. Brought my daughters with me, my adult daughters. They're over enjoying the pool. They may join me a little bit later on. But right now I'm on my own, and I'm going to start with getting a 5-inch orbital sander out with an 80 grit sanding disc. And I'm going to start trying to identify the challenges that I have, just how many hundred fiberglass gel coat cracks I have, how much fiberglass is delaminating below the gel coat. This is probably the single biggest project that we'll have to do before we can put the boat in the water. I don't even know how large the project is. I'm budgeting 100 man hours for this task. I hope that's enough, and I hope that we can still get the boat in the water before the end of the boating season in Michigan, which is pretty much the end of September, middle of October, and I hope we can get the boat in the water and move it from this location to another location that's quite honestly less expensive space to rent for the hard. So that's it. Right now I'm going to get set up to get the sanding disc going, and then we'll start doing some of the sanding. So for this task, everybody seems to recommend 80 grit sandpaper for this bottom work. So I've got some Norton 3X 80 grit sandpaper. I have a Milwaukee 5-inch constant speed, a random orbital sander, and I do have a hose set up for this, but I haven't got that set up yet. So for right now, we're just going to fill up our little box here. So again, Norton 3X 80 grit Milwaukee 5-inch palm orbital random orbital sander. Let's see see how it does at taking this taking the material off the boat. Correction, I have my variable speed Milwaukee 5-inch orbital sander. Alright, so a few minutes of sanding. The disc still seems to be have plenty of medium on it to continue to do its job. I'm going to show you now what we're up against, what I've already found out in just a few minutes of sanding. So, what are we looking at? You can see that we've got pitting here. I believe that's imperfections in paint. Years and years of bottom paint that has not bonded entirely, and then what you see as a result of that is these little brown pits here. Those are little dimples. Now over here, I think what we're seeing is good, healthy gel coat. So now this whole hull area here is very wavy. I noticed that as I was going through it with the sander. So up here, we'll start at the boot strap. We've got a gold pigmented stripe here that the red bottom paint has come up onto. we're going to repaint that. We're going to repaint this boot stripe. But here you can see the red bottom paint. In that area up high, still some of those little pits. And as I sanded, we haven't even gotten through the red bottom paint yet, down into the white bottom paint. And we certainly haven't gotten into this. Now this may wind up being poorly applied gel coat from a repair, or maybe somebody's idea to deal with all these hundreds. See these microscopic cracks here? So are all those cracks in the gel coat, and then they need to get fixed? I can tell you right now, that's fiberglass, that's fiberglass, that's fiberglass, that's fiberglass, that's fiberglass. All this in here, that's all fiberglass. So that's going to be some serious repair. Now from the inside of the boat, in the daylight, when I go back into the back of the bilge, gained access to this, quite honestly, from the aft stateroom, you can see daylight. You can see all these glow. We've got definite gel coat missing issues. So I'm imagining that I'll be getting very aggressive and taking off large areas of this gel coat, right down to the fiberglass. And then I'll have to evaluate the fiberglass to see how much new laminate, fiberglass laminate we have to install over how large an area. And then will we be spraying on a whole new layer of gel coat back here, or will we only be doing gel coat from here down? I don't know. So again, you come over here, more of that pitting, more gel coat just gone. You can see right down to the laminate. Down here, gel coat gone, right into the laminate. So this is why I am budgeting 100 hours for this, and that may be a little conservative. Along the side here, again, not the little, in some areas of the pitting, some areas of cracking. You put it on a stand, you get cracks. So definitely you got big chunk of gel coat missing here. Now I'm going to try to handle this as each little thing is one repair. I'm not going to strip all the gel coat off of a 50-foot boat and put new gel coat on. But I may be cleaning up 1,000 little cracks. And even if I'm cleaning up 1,000 little cracks, that's a lot less work than sanding all this gel coat off down to the laminate, down to the fiberglass, and then reapplying the entire boat surface in 5 layers of gel coat. I just don't see this boat as that type of an investment. I do want to make sure that I limit the amount of water intrusion into the boat by repairing the fiberglass as best I can. No gel coat, 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 no gel coat. So the transom may be the worst part of the project, in that I may have to take off 30% of the old gel coat, broken cracked gel coat, and replace it. But I'm going to get back to sanding this section right here. Today's goal is probably going to be from about here, maybe into here. I may even get up into here and see what I got. But this is, you know, somebody who wants to ask me, how do you eat an elephant? Of course, most of you already know the answer to that. One bite at a time. So let's not get overwhelmed by the task. I'll be back with you after I've done some more sanding. All right, progress has been made. Progress has been made because I switched from an 80 grit disc to a 40 grit disc. I found that the 80 grit disc was barely touching whatever it is that was causing the dimples. So I switched to a 40 grit disc. That's a very aggressive disc. You should need to be really sure that whatever you're sanding needs a 40 grit disc. In my case, I put the 40 grit disc on, and Still didn't move much. You can tell though I've made some progress. Here's the old water line, scum line. You can see that here. I've gone from the outside of the stern and from the starboard side all the way across to the middle. You can see that I've gotten down to gel coat here. You can also see that a lot of the dimpling is gone, but quite a bit still remains. I have determined that that was from poor application of barrier coat, that they had some contamination when they put the barrier coat on, and the dimples were where there's dirt remained. So I'm not going to worry too much about the dimples. I'm going to lose probably 80% of them just by sanding down to get to where I can identify all the gel coat cracks, but I'm not going to concentrate on the dimples. I'm going to concentrate on the gel coat cracks. There's enough of that to worry about. But I have been at it for only about an hour and 15 minutes, and I've gotten from the starboard side of the stern all the way over beyond center. So I'm now going to move my work and the camera over to the port side and try to knock as much of this stuff down as I possibly can using the 40 grit. Again, I know what I'm doing. I know if I start going too deep, and I can tell you that so far I've only gotten to the gel coat in a couple places. Almost everywhere else it's been barrier coat or decades of bottom paint, blue bottom paint, white bottom paint, barrier coat. So I've got plenty of material I don't want on the boat that I can remove with that 40 grit before I will switch over to an 80 grit before I put the bottom paint on or the barrier coat on. I will have to, next time I come, I'm going to have an adapter for being able to plug 110 volts into my shore power, and I'll be able to run part of the boat on 110 volts, convert it to 32, and I'll be able to put my trim tabs down, and that'll give me more that I can clean. But for today, I'm not going to do that. Today I'm going to concentrate on trying to get the whole stern, at least the first attempt at knocking down the all these many layers of barrier coat and bottom paint. So I'm going to relocate the camera and continue to sand. I want you to see just how aggressive this 40 grit is without being too aggressive. So here we go. I have this set on full RPM, which is about 12,000. As you can tell, the 40 grit is not eating through whatever it is that's there. This material is standing up quite well to the 40 grit, which is why I can continue to use it, because it's not ripping off this stuff and taking me down to the fiberglass laminate. This is layer after layer after layer after layer of material that is not gel coat. So I need to get down to the gel coat, or at least get to the point where I can identify just how much work I have to do. You see all this cracking down here, and I gotta know whether that's cracked paint or cracked gel coat. I'm gonna zoom in on that so you can see what I'm looking at. You see all those cracks? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cracks? That may just be old crappy, poorly installed barrier coat. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get back in here and sand that down and see what I find. So that's the goal right now.